Game 3, trying to win this series against a top 10 opponent in LSU. She's going to bring it with some pretty good velocity. She's got that explosive rise ball. That's the pitch that throughout the season she's got majority of the swings and misses on. Has yet to get LSU to swing and miss on that pitch. Yet in this series, she's going to see if she can get them to whiff of that pitch out of the zone in Game 3 today.
Beth Torina's team very disciplined at the plate. They have a veteran lineup, 7 left-handed bats: Allie Newland, Ciara Briggs, Taylor Pleasance, Raylene Gutierrez, all left-handed hitters before you get to Kelly Lynch, the DP, followed by Petty, Ruderty, Bajaran, and McKee. Gorgeous evening here in Gainesville. 76 degrees at first pitch, and Rothrock misses for ball 1 to Allie Newland. Newland 2 for 5 in the series with 4 walks. She's been on base a bunch. This is her 8th straight game in the leadoff spot for the Tigers. And she hits one deep to center field. Kendra Falby moving back, can't get it off the wall. Newland rounding first, chugging into second base, sliding in safely with a leadoff double. What a series for Allie Newland. Her 3rd hit and on base for a 7th time.
She started off yesterday's ball game with a base hit out to right center. This time she hits this one a little bit more solid, a pitch on the inside part of the plate field for a double to start off the offense for the Tigers.
Let's see if Beth Torina goes to small ball here. Briggs bunted twice yesterday, sacrifice bunts, both successful, one key in the 7th inning. She takes ball 1. Briggs 4 for 6 with 2 runs scored in the series, 3 for 3 yesterday with a run and the 2 sacrifices. One.
Takes that rise ball on the outside part of the plate. Briggs coming from the left side is one of those triple threat lefty slappers. She's so good at laying down a bunt when she needs to, but she's got that speed running down that first baseline.
To the shortstop, Wallace. Quickly over to first. That means Newland has to hold. 1 away. Beth Torina's team started the season 24-0. The last team to suffer a loss in D1 softball. And they lost 4 in a row before winning 6 straight heading into this series. Dropped that close one on Saturday before bouncing back in 8 on Sunday. Pleasant swings at the first pitch and fouls it off. Taylor's average has slipped down to .311. 6 home runs, 34 runs batted in. 1 for 7 in the series with a walk.
That first pitch that Rothrock just threw her is a prime example of where Florida's been throwing her all weekend long, really riding those pitches up and underneath the hands so that Pleasance can't get extended.
This is outside.
Yeah, close take outside. Typically, Taylor Pleasance, her power alley is on that outside part of the plate, right about where we just saw that pitch called for a ball outside to her there.
Fly ball to left. Corby Otis comes in. 2 down.
A couple of quick outs back-to-back after that leadoff double by Allie Newland. Nice job by Rothrock to settle back in, continue to work those pitches on the edges for a couple of unproductive outs, too, by the top half of this LSU order.
Yeah, Newland stuck at second right now. And here is Gutierrez. Going to take a ball out of play. Gutierrez has lifted her average to .343. She was 2 for 4 yesterday, 2 doubles. She was robbed of 2 hits. 3 for 7 in the series with 3 runs batted in.
Her swing's been looking really good throughout these first couple of games against Florida, making really solid swing adjustments depending upon who's out there in the circle.
Strike 1 from Rothrock. Keegan entered today with 129 innings pitched. That's a lot. That's number 1 in the SEC. She and Ava Brown, as we showed you a few moments ago, the 2 starters. Ground ball to Wallace over to first, and the leadoff double does not hurt Rothrock and the Gators, who are coming to plate in the first. For LSU, it's Raylan Chafin.
Raylan Chafin getting the start today, the junior for LSU, and she's going to be a little bit of a different look than what Florida saw out of Sydney Berzon. She's going to work in the other part of the strike zone. She's added a lot of velocity to her pitches this year, really jumped up from mid-60s up into the high 60s consistently. She's going to work up in the zone with that rise ball, screwball, curveball combination.
Ball one to Kendra Falby leading things off. If you haven't been with us during the season, this Florida offense has been electric, leading the SEC and hitting at .362. They have the top 4 hitters in the SEC at the top of their lineup. Falby third in the SEC. She takes the ball. It's 2-0. Ball 3 from Chafin. Raylan's last start was Game 3 of the Texas A&M series. She picked up a win over ULM last Tuesday. She has struggled with her control. 26 walks, 10 hit batters on the season in her 60 1/3 innings of work. Strike 1 to Falby. So control will be a question, and I'm sure Florida's looked at that and said, be patient. Go deep in the counts.
And historically, Florida's a program that likes to be patient up at the plate. They want to try to put as much pressure on the pitcher as possible when they start a ball game.
Falby fouls it off.
And they've got a ton of speed, too. So as a pitcher, you almost try to be a little bit too careful about not missing outside of the zone because they've got that speed and patient combination. We take a look over at head coach Tim Walton in his 19th season at Florida. Going to be mic'd up for us tonight. We'll see what sorts of quotes we get out of Coach Walton today.
Fouled off by Falby. Kendra at .427, 3 for 7 in the series. 56 total hits on the season, which is first in the SEC. Ball 4, Falby is aboard to get things going for the Gators here in the first. Number 1 hitter in the SEC, Skylar Wallace, follows Falby in order, followed by Corby Otis, who's second in the conference, and then Jocelyn Erickson, 4th in the SEC in hitting. Otis at .453 and 4 for 7 in the series. On deck, but right now all eyes on Skylar Wallace at the plate, who takes ball 1. Sydney Burzon started game 1. Kelly Lynch game 2 for LSU. 2-0 now to Wallace.
Defense has to be ready for Kendra Falby to take off because she's got a ton of speed over at first base, along with Skylar Wallace up at the plate. Falby already with 14 stolen bases so far this year.
In 18 attempts, Bajaran's been good behind the plate, controlling the run game, and there's a strike to Wallace. 11th start of the season for Chafin. She started 11 games a season ago for LSU, so she's got experience in the circle. Three and 1 now to Wallace.
Trying to work that rise ball up and outside to the first 2 lefties that she's seen in this order. Hasn't been able to consistently nail that spot away. First 2 batters being very patient, forcing her to bring a ball in the zone.
Swung on and missed, and it's 3 and 2. Wallace 1 for 6 in the series.
And we do know that Skylar Wallace likes to hit pitches up in the zone. We've been on the call for several games where she's hit them up above her helmet.
And out of the zone, yes.
And out of the park.
Not just up in the zone, up and out of the zone, and that has led to being out of the park. Yes, that's the ladder. That's the progression. Ball 4, Wallace is aboard. Falby was gone with the pitch. Back-to-back walks to start things here for the Gators.
Looked like a bit of an off-speed that she tried to throw to Wallace on that full count. Just hung on to it a bit too long.
I'll bring up Corby Otis, 4 for 7, as I mentioned in the series, a couple of RBI. Here's Beth Torina coming out. I wonder if she's going to challenge if Falby left early. Robbie Guest is the plate umpire, and he'll let us know.
First base on time.
Successful, so now Birmingham in the replay center will take a look to see if Falby left before the ball left the hand of the pitcher.
Yeah, that's right, Eric. The base runner cannot leave the base until the pitcher has released the ball. Taking a look at it here side by side. So Falby's left foot is on the base. It's a close one when I'm looking at those two comparisons, my eyes going back and forth between the two. Of course, being able to review this is new to softball this year. Coaches having that option.
It's not very popular, but coaches, if it's in there, you can use it, and you're not doing your job as a coach if you don't say, well, why don't I play this card right now?
Absolutely. It's popular in the sense of how often we see it being used within games. Now, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I don't like it as far as the pace of play and the game itself, and just looking at literal inches when it comes to timing off of a base and how it can completely change an inning and a game, for that matter, for somebody who might not have even was attempting to steal. It could have just been a leadoff. You can still go to that video review on somebody who's just leading off the base. But if I were on the coaching staffs, I absolutely would be using it to my advantage.
There's a strike to Otis. Chafin trying to settle in here for the Tigers. 2 on, nobody out here in the first. 2-1.
You just see even where Bajran's setting up back behind the plate, Chafin's pitches are missing completely on the opposite side of the plate. Bajran was set up outside to Corby Otis on that pitch. That pitch ended up falling low and inside.
Line shot, could be 2, not in time. Falby got back just in time. Pleasance threw it over to Petty. You wonder, too, if LSU hadn't used a challenge on the runner leaving early, would they throw the challenge here? Because this is close.
This one, heads up base running by Falby to turn around and dive back into second base as quickly as she could.
Here's Jocelyn Erickson, team leader, and runs batted in with 51. Chafin misses inside for ball 1. Erickson 1 for 3 with a walk yesterday, 1 for 5 in the series with a couple of walks. One 1. Chafin went in an inning and 2/3 in that start against A&M last weekend. Gave up a couple of hits, a couple of walks, 3 runs. So got into some early trouble against the Aggies. LSU came back to win that game. They ended up sweeping the series. Chafin ahead in the count, 1-2. Up high, 2-2.
A couple of good pitches back-to-back before that one. That rise ball right there is a bit of an uncompetitive pitch because it's just so far out of the zone. That's not a pitch that you're going to get somebody to bite at, even with 2 strikes. But I like where she was staying in the lower part of the zone and a little bit higher on those 2 pitches prior.
Line drive center field. Briggs, good defender in center field. Back to catch it. Falby was caught off the bag. Could not tag up in time. A couple of hard hit balls, but a couple of outs. 2 down. But here comes Reagan Walsh. There has been 1 home run in the series. It was a clutch one delivered by number 15.
It seems like it's been a pitcher's duel for the first 2 games of this series, but Reagan Walsh was all over it for a big 3-run shot.
Came with 2 outs in the 6th inning. Put Florida on top 4-1. LSU would score once in the 7th, but 4-2 would be how game 1 ended on Saturday. Walsh 3 for 6 with that home run. Was 1 for 3 yesterday. He's hit in 6 straight games. 392 on the season. That one comes inside, and she's down to the count 0-2.
Reagan Walsh will take her hacks at pitches that are outside of the strike zone, especially on that inside part of the plate. She's got a very aggressive swing. You can see why with the power that she provided on that changeup that was actually outside, but she got around it so well that she drove it out to left field.
Here's the 0-2. That hits her. So Walsh is hit by a pitch for the second time this series, and the bases are loaded with 2 outs. The 11th hit batter for Chafin this year.
Trying to play against that aggressiveness on the inside part of the plate. So second time, as you mentioned, Eric hit her right on that right shin. Got hit on the back elbow yesterday. Neither one of those feel good.
Katie Kistler takes ball 1. Senior right fielder, 1 for 6 in the series, 361 on the season. 1 through 6 in the Florida lineup, hitting 360 or better. One. It's been a little more talking than throwing in that LSU bullpen. Berzon started to throw a little bit when the first 2 runners were aboard, but I'm going to see if Chafin can get out of this jam right here.
LSU does have a variety of different arms that they can throw so far in this series. We've just seen Kelly Lynch, Sydney Berzon, and now Raylan Chafin. Saw Emma Stroud out there in the bullpen along with Berzon down that right field line.
2-1. 3-1. That's up high, ball 4. That will bring in a run, 1-0 Florida. 3rd walk of the inning for Chafin.
There's that patience for Florida paying off. Even the times that they have swung the bat, they've been hitting the ball with authority so far in this first inning against Chafin, forcing her to bring it right in that strike zone. And she's been missing in all parts of the zone. We've seen rise balls up and out of the zone, even seen her try to work some of those screwballs, curveballs in the lower part of the zone, not able to locate them. Just trying to figure out something that she can throw consistently for a strike here.
She's thrown a lot. That's pitch number 31 of this first inning. 3 walks and a hit batter for Chafin. And Otis and Erickson both hit their pitches hard, just right at Pleasance and Briggs. 1-0. 2-0.
Even try to change up there, and you can just see how far off of the plate that one is. And the more you're off the plate, the less likely you're going to get some of those marginal calls on the edges of the strike zone.
Two and one. Three and one.
Even there, Bajaran doing her best attempt to try to frame up that pitch, but she was set up on the outside part of the plate. That one ended up missing low and inside. Already 34 pitches thrown in this inning. 20 of them have been balls.
Count is full, 3-2. So the runners will go with the pitch. Ava Brown ready. Here it comes. Out of play. "36 pitches in the inning. This is the third full count for a Florida hitter. Chafin trying to escape, giving up just one run, which would be an accomplishment with 3 walks and a hit batter. Hit well to right field, drifting back. Rudidi's got room, and LSU gets out of the jam. Florida scores once, 1-0. LSU has to feel like they dodged one there with the 3 walks and a hit batter and just 1 run scored for the Gators.
It just felt like every at-bat, Raylan Chafin was falling behind in the count, having to battle back. Even though she wasn't able to locate her spots consistently, we saw Bajaran moving all over the place, back behind the plate. A couple of hard hits put in play, too, just happened to go right to people.
One and two to Lynch. Lynch got the start yesterday, and the circle was very good for LSU. This is a line shot, just foul. Inches foul as Lynch was looking for her first hit of the series.
Good swing right there by Kelly Lynch, getting on top of this rise ball.
I'm going to say 2.3 inches foul.
That's your exact measurement. Closer than you thought it was.
You always want to up.
I do.
You're so
I
competitive.
do.
We're both right, though. It was foul.
Not by much.
Here's 1-2. That's the other way and out of play.
A little further than 1.7 inches foul on that side. I thought Kelly Lynch threw really well to start off yesterday's ball game, too. That rise ball was jumping through the zone. So much spin and movement on that pitch. Racked up 7 strikeouts.
That's up high. Lynch in her first year with this LSU program after 4 years at Washington. Had 20 home runs in her Huskies career. Has had some clutch moments already playing for LSU this season. Count goes full. Another one fouled off by Lynch. Rothrock was busy last weekend in that wild Mississippi State series. Aggregate runs in that series, 27-24 in favor of the Gators, who took 2 out of 3.
The complete opposite of the series that we're seeing this weekend between these two teams.
To 11 2/3 last weekend. Just missed. Good at bat for Lynch. She's aboard to lead things off here in the second for LSU. Depends on how you looked at Mic'd Up Monday. We look at it as the final chapter of last week. It's also a time to look ahead. So let's look ahead, shall we? Softball doubleheader.
Right at the right time. Tennessee, a big series win over Georgia in dramatic fashion. Sophia Nugent with that go-ahead home run in the 6th inning yesterday against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Pinch runner Madeline Giglio comes on for Lynch. And it's ball 1 to Carly Petty, second baseman, 0 for 7 in the series, 328 on the season.
I almost feel like this weekend as a whole has been about the late inning dramatic finishes. We've seen a couple already in our series. Kentucky yesterday, Carissa Hamilton with a home run in the 7th inning to beat Texas A&M. We mentioned the Tennessee home run in that Georgia
the
series.
3-run shot at the bottom of the 6th. You mentioned that. Rothrock needed just 10 pitches in the first inning. Already has thrown 12 here, thanks to the long at-bat for Lynch, and now Petty with a 3-0 count.
Pitching coach for the Florida Gators, Chelsea Dobbins, coming out to have a conversation with her battery. I wonder if she's trying to get an idea of where those pitches are missing on that outside part of the plate. You can tell that the Florida fans do not like the strike zone that they're seeing already to start off Game 3 here, but trying to get a beat on which pitches and which locations are going to be called today.
It is interesting with this Florida team this year. Tim Walton's club, great record, 33-6, 8-3 in the SEC. Had a complete reset of the pitching staff, including the pitching coach, and everyone has responded pretty well to these new assignments.
Not too often do you bring in a new pitching coach to your program, to a team that returns quite literally 0 innings pitched from the year
0.
prior. So it's a completely clean slate for the Florida Gators this year. And Chelsea Dobbins working with a couple of freshmen, getting the majority of the innings for the Gators this year so far.
Always a good sign when the pitching coach goes out, has a conversation, and the next pitch is a strike.
Absolutely.
You feel like, okay, that was a worthwhile visit.
A well-received conversation in the circle.
Ground ball to second. Williams, one play. That's over to first. Moving on to second is Giglio, one down.
After falling behind 3-0, a couple of good pitches there to get a ground ball out to the right side. And a smart play by another freshman in Mia Williams playing second base for the Florida Gators to go ahead and just get that sure out over at first base because her momentum was taking her in that 3-4 hole. I don't think she would have been able to get Giglio at second base.
Ball one to Mackenzie Rudity, number 7 hitter, the junior at .337 on the season. 1 for 5 in the series, 1 for 2 with a couple of walks, a couple of runs scored yesterday. Bottom part of that lineup for LSU responded after a quiet game 1. They were in the middle of everything, it seemed, in game 2.
They were doing it with a variety of different ways, a couple of hits, as you mentioned, but even reaching base via the walk, just doing whatever they could to turn that lineup over.
1-2 the count now to Rudity.
Sac fly by Maddox McKee in the 9-hole in the 8th inning yesterday.
Turned out to be the game-winning RBI. Bajaran, who's on deck, was 3 for 4 yesterday, a couple of doubles and an RBI. Trying to produce again here today and take the series against Florida. 2-2. Softly hit to third. Rudity hustling down the line. She'll beat it out. Moving on to third is Giglio. Runners on the corners with one down.
A tough play for the left side of the infield for Florida here. They're one step closer to first base than a right-handed batter would be, and that was all it took for Mackenzie Rudity to beat out that one.
7 lefties in the batting order for this LSU team. Here's one of the righties. Macy Bajaran, the sophomore catcher, .293 on the season, 3 for 6 in the series. One and one. Two and one. Grounded too short. Wallace the flip, the second to one. The turn to first. 6-4-3 double play. Florida's defense comes through to end the inning.
And polls come out how the teams end up finishing, and Florida's a team that was picked to finish 7th in the SEC at the beginning of the year. Now have worked their way up towards the top.
Line drive to right into the glove of Rudity, and Williams is retired for out number 1 here in the second inning. Madison, I know you've been wondering when it's going to be on, and the answer is right here. The SEC Equestrian Championship is next. All the best moment for you tonight. You are locked in on equestrian.
Auburn Tigers historically have such a great equestrian program.
I knew you had something on that. She's not all just about heat maps and hitting people, okay? She knows about equestrian.
I do like to branch out a little bit as well. And it seems like year after year, Auburn just so dominant in equestrian.
Number 9 hitter, Brooke Bernard, getting the start here today. She delivered with the pinch hit. The double yesterday. Just missed. It's 2 and 1. 2-2.
You can see with her bat path, even on that swing, just that last minute bite of upward movement on that pitch that was low in the zone, started about knee high and traveled up to mid thigh. But Barnard taking a big cut at that one, thinking it was going to stay in that lower half of the zone.
Foul tip into the glove, held on by Bergeron. That's a strikeout number 1 for Chafin, 2 down.
Goes right back to it, climbs the ladder, just got right underneath that rise ball. First strikeout on the afternoon for Chafin.
Has Chafin's command been a little bit better in your eyes this inning compared to the first inning?
Much better. She ended up throwing 37 pitches in the bottom of the first inning. So far already, much more efficient. 2 outs away already.
Back to the top of the order, here's Falby. Walked and scored the Florida run in the first. Two and 0.
Now she's fallen behind to Falby, but when you're dancing around the strike zone, I think it changes the game plan for opposing hitters too. When you're not able to consistently bring the pitches in that zone, then the offense can go up there and err on being much more patient in their at-bats.
Falby goes off after the 2-0.
Wouldn't be surprised if last inning there were batters that went up there with the game plan of taking until they saw a strike, just to continue to keep that pressure on Chafin in the circle, show her that she was going to have to bring it into that zone before they were going to take a cut at some of those pitches. But looking much better so far in this bottom of the second. Still some pitchers hanging out in that bullpen for LSU.
By the looks of it, I'd say Emma Stroud would be the first one out of the pen, but that's just kind of reading how things are. She's got the glove on. That's my tell.
Trying to use our context clues right up here in the booth.
She's throwing a pitch every now and then, so we'll see if Chafin can work out of it. 2-2 now to Falby. Swung on and missed, and Chafin does battle back. Series recap. Florida won game 1-2. LSU was down to their final strike. Raylan Gutierrez with the game-tying hit in the 7th. They won it in 8. Series history has been just as tight. This is the 76th meeting. Florida with 38 wins, LSU with 37 wins.
We knew coming into this weekend that this was going to be a fantastic series between these two teams. Of course, the top 10 matchups are always the ones that you look forward to, but we even talked about it a couple of times throughout this series, just the makeup of each of these teams, how it looks so different. On one side for LSU, you've got a ton of veterans top to bottom, a lot of freshmen and newcomers on the other side for Florida.
Number 9 hitter, freshman Maddox McKee steps in. Two and 0 to Maddox. She had that sacrifice fly in the 8th inning yesterday. Three and 0. There's a strike. It's 3-1.
So far in this game, both pitchers have been falling behind quite a bit. I've not seen a ton of first pitch strikes. Rothrock 3 for 9 first pitch strikes. Chafin 2 for 10. Ooh.
He thought she had ball 4. Took a few steps towards first. Now has to step back in the box.
That rise ball called up and inside.
Fly ball to deep center field. Falby to the track to put it away for out number 1 here in the 3rd. Well, back to the top of the order here for LSU, and this has been the spot for the Tigers that has been taken over by Allie Newland. They needed somebody because Danica Coffey, one of the very best players in the SEC, the leadoff hitter for this LSU team, suffered an ACL injury on March 2nd. LSU is trying to figure out what to do in this spot, and Newland has been the answer, and it's been a good answer right now.
She's been swinging the bat extremely well all season long, but Eric, you talked about how LSU started off this year going 24-0, and then they lost those 4 games in a row, and a lot of that was them trying to figure out the best pieces to put together in the lineup and defensively to try to make up for the loss of Danica Coffey in the lineup.
And there is another hit for Newland. Her second tonight, her fourth of the series. She's been on base 8 times here in this series in Florida. Here's what they're missing. Danica Coffey, starting third baseman, was hitting .404 at the time of her injury, 6th in the conference. 4-year starter for Beth Torina. And it's a huge loss in the field and at the plate. But this is a deep veteran team, and Newland's stepping into that role, and everybody just staying in their comfortable roles in the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, because right after she was injured, the first thought is to go ahead and put Sierra Briggs right at the top of the order because because she's that triple threat lefty batter, similar to what you see from Danica Coffey. But she's just gotten so comfortable being in that 2 spot. That's where she thrives in the order. Her ability to move runners over the 60 feet, be able to read the defense, especially when there's somebody on first base, it completely changes how the defense plays her as a lefty slapper.
Misses to Briggs, it's 2-1.
But Allie Newland has done a phenomenal job of filling in that leadoff role, and you can just see how that defense is shaded over. Skylar Wallace playing closer to second base than you normally would with a slapper up at the plate because she's got to respect the speed that Newland has on first.
Slap deep in the hole. Wallace throws the second. Great play to get the force at second. Newland's retired, 2 down. Great shortstop matchup in this series. Pleasance for LSU, Wallace for Florida.
An outstanding play by Skylar Wallace because off of the bat, I thought everybody was going to be safe, and she was able to do that flawlessly as she looks like she's walking it off a little bit.
Maybe not so flawlessly.
It looked flawless. Might not have felt that way, but it looked easy when she was able to make that play. She's somebody, too, who I feel like has improved defensively year after year playing shortstop.
She's obviously a tremendous athlete. We see that at the plate, on the bases, her speed and what she does. But that just looked like such an instinctive and athletic play. You know, getting there and throwing a strike to second in plenty of time.
It's the instincts and it's the reads that just continue to get better the more that you play the position. Because off the bat, you're thinking, try to get an out over at first base. But because of the pre-pitch thought that went into making that defensive play at second base, looking at who's running over at first, Allie Newland with not as much speed as Sierra Briggs does. She knows that she can get that out over at second base. All of those things work together to try to help your defense, give you that extra step to get in front of a ground ball.
Here is an outstanding shortstop. Pleasance ahead in the count 3-0. 3-1.
Another reason I was looking forward to this series, too, the battle of the shortstops between Skylar Wallace and Taylor Pleasance. Selfishly, I think we should just have them both on the field. We just hit a bunch of ground balls to them and let them battle it out.
This is hit well to center field. Falby drifting back to the track, to the wall, and she's got it. Hit well by Pleasance, but Falby was there. Pay extra maybe just to pepper grounders.
Absolutely.
Something tells me you would like to be in that rotation. It'd go Skylar, then Taylor. Oh, here's Maddie Shipman taking some
10
grounders.
years ago, Maddie, yes. Now, Maddie, I will happily just hit them the ground balls and be able to
I think
watch.
Maybe you should outsource that as well. That could really do some damage to your shoulders. What do you like? What are the similarities between the two, and what are some of the things that are unique to their game?
The similarities are they're both just phenomenal shortstops and hitters, and of course they both come from the left side, but they're both built completely different. You've got Taylor Pleasance, who's over 6 feet tall. Skylar Wallace still with a pretty good frame, but just not quite as tall. And so their strengths are in different areas. Skylar is just so quick. Her first step, so fast. A ton of range at short. And for Taylor Pleasance, it feels like 2 steps and she's covering the entire area between second and third base, plus the cannon that she has as an arm. But we saw an example of it on that play that Skylar Wallace made back in the top of the third inning. The transfer that she has feels like it's gotten quicker and quicker year after year, and that's something that's so important for shortstops because you need to be able to adjust to wherever you're fielding the ground ball, get rid of it as quickly as possible, and oftentimes it's a very long throw across the diamond.
This is hit deep to left field. Going back is Newland. Newland is at the track, and she's got it. One away here in the third. Falby at the fence in the top of the third, and now Wallace to Newland in the bottom of the third.
I tell you what, these outfielders don't like me giving so much love to home runs from the opposing team. You mentioned Kendra Falby doing it in the last inning, and Allie Newland, pretty much a human highlight reel out there in left field so far this season for LSU.
Yeah, let's give a little love to the outfielders because these are two outstanding outfields. Briggs covers a ton of ground. There's Newland, who's filled up the highlight reel with diving plays in left field for the Tigers. Rudity's got a plus arm out in right field for LSU. There's a ball to Corby Otis, who has done the job in left field for the Florida Gators in her first year with this program.
I just often feel like defense is the aspect of the game that gets overlooked at times, but we've got some outstanding defenders battling in this series.
Florida's fielding percentage, .979. That is first in the SEC. LSU at .976. That's tied for third. Tim Walton's team always, year after year, defense first. They've got the offense to go along with it this season. Two and two the count to Otis. Line to Pleasance in the first. This is grounded to Pleasance, who can show that arm off. What's the number we were told? She was pushing 80 when she really lets it go, 80 miles per hour on her throw from short to first.
80 with a softball. That is some serious velocity. And she can throw from different angles, too. Right there, she had a little bit more time to get her feet set underneath her and fire it across the diamond, but we've seen her make some really long throws in the 5-6 hole, throw it off of her back foot, using those long levers to her advantage.
Now, she didn't have to dial up the speed on that throw. She just knows the exact amount that she has to put into it to get it to first on time. That's how good she is defensively.
The pre-pitch thought that we were talking about with Skylar, too, one of the things as a shortstop that you're always reading is the speed of the batter that's up at the plate, too, because you need to know how much time you have to, one, get to the ball, but also how much time you have to throw it across to first base.
Now, it's been 10 years since you were an All-American shortstop at Tennessee. It feels to me like you are still doing that internal processing when the pitch is being delivered, and you're sitting here in the booth and not playing short anymore.
Can you see the wheels turning up here?
I can. Well, there's smoke coming out of your ears. Tim Walton. We're going double mic'd up Monday with Tim coming up. He'll have the headset on so we can ask him a couple questions. Maybe we can point a boom mic and a parabolic mic, any sort of microphone at. We'll just go quad mic Monday on Tim.
You're naming mics that I'm not familiar with over
Well,
there.
it's a class I took in college, and those words just stick with you. There are some audio guys somewhere nodding along saying I got something right there. Thank you. Our audio crew just got my headset. I heard voices telling me I'm right. That's slapped out to left field. I'll get down for a base hit. So Erickson delivers to the opposite field with two down. She's got her second hit of the series.
She hit the ball hard, too. Her last at-bat just happened to go straight to Sierra Briggs out in center field. This time, gets her hands inside, drives it the opposite way. Another big pickup for the Florida Gators, transferring over from Oklahoma this year. A good combination of speed and power in this Florida offense. We saw the power from Walsh already in this series. Jocelyn Erickson with some power from the left side.
Swung on sky high to left. Newland reaching for the fence, doesn't get all the way there, hauls it in at the track to retire the side. Tell us about your shortstop, Skylar Wallace. How has she improved defensively in that position over the last year or so for you?
Yeah, the play she made going to her knees on the throw, most of the time she throws that to first base just because of where her body position is. She feels like it's an easier slot, it's an easier open angle. just talk to her about how hard it's hit. If they're hit pretty firm, you got a little bit more time. You can make that throw as long as you're able, to get your throwing shoulder side out, your left side out of the way. She did a great job on that. It was a really athletic play and did a really nice job. And our second baseman did a really good job communicating that she was there as well.
And, Coach, in that bottom of the third inning, Skylar hit the ball really hard out to left field. A couple of hard hits put in play. What are you wanting to see from your offense moving forward to get some more runs on the board?
Yeah, against this kid, not much different. We've hit the ball hard on the screws. We've done a good job being able to hit the ball where it's pitched. So not much here. We get a couple more hits. We're going to have to figure out how to face the next one and the next one after that potentially. So I'm happy with what our plan. Obviously not happy we don't have more runs on the board. We should. But everything else is good. So I appreciate you guys. Obviously we got to catch up this week, but appreciate the comments on the podcast and all the stuff, just trying to grow the game positively. I think that's the one thing that all these young women out here on the field, they all have such a great brand and they do such a great job. And I just appreciate you guys giving us that platform, too.
That's on me. I was going to introduce
Coach.
you as podcast host, but we're going to talk about that right now.
You just never know. You never know.
We got you. We got you, Tim.
Appreciate you guys.
So
Go Gators.
We brought that up in our conversation, and if you weren't with us earlier in the series, Tim's hosting a podcast. You've been a very big fan of it. It's been very detailed, talking to some of the biggest names in softball. And before I get your thoughts on it, and I encourage you to listen to it as well if you're a softball fan. First pitch, Gutierrez grounds out, one away here for LSU in the fourth inning. He loves it. He loves getting to know more about people he had coached against or saw from a distance, just learning about I'm very process-oriented. You can tell he is, and that's, I think, comes through in what he's doing with his podcast.
You can just tell that he is thoroughly enjoying every single second when you listen to those podcasts, just the guests that he's had on so far, whether it's former Florida Gator alumni between Kelsey Stewart, Aubrey Monroe, or even Arizona former head coach Mike Candrea. This week, speaking of shortstops, had Natasha Watley on the podcast. Got to listen to that. Natasha Watley, one of my all-time favorite athletes to watch. Got a chance to play with her and see how she operates on a day-to-day basis and the work ethic, everything that she put in to become an Olympian, to become a champion. It was a really fun conversation to listen to the two of them just about how they go about their business day in and day out.
Fly ball to left. Otis under it. Lynch is retired. Quickly 2 down.
And the passion for the game and the growth of the game as a whole is something else that stands out when listening to Coach Walton talk on that podcast.
Yeah, like I said, I think I need to do a better job instead of just introducing him as Florida head coach Tim Walton. It's podcast host Tim Walton. Mic'd up podcast host. You can see his point, though, with Florida at the plate. There have been some hard hit balls just right at players so far, and it's one of those things that don't change much right now. Let's just hope something falls in.
And that can be hard at times for an athlete because you want to do more. You want to try to maybe swing a little bit harder to get that ball to fall in the outfield, but oftentimes you just got to sit back and keep doing what you've been doing. Eventually, those softballs will find a hole.
Fouled back by Petty. 1-2. She grounded out to second in the second. One thing we've seen from LSU, they have battled. They are very difficult to strike out. Another one that Petty just gets a piece of. No strikeouts in this game, just 4 in the series. 93 strikeouts for LSU hitters on the season, by far the fewest in the SEC.
It's pretty phenomenal when you look at their lineup, top to bottom. 6 of the 9 players in their starting lineup have a swing and miss rate that's less than 10%. And they're swinging the bat with authority, too. That was something that we got a chance to talk to Coach Howard Dobson about, just the mentality going into this season with their swings in particular, and talking about the correlation of bat speed and swing decisions.
Slow roller to second on the first, a 1-2-3 inning for Rothrock. Gainesville, Florida on top, 1-0 over LSU. More softball coming up on the SEC Network on Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. How would you like to work with me Friday in Columbia, South Carolina?
I think that sounds like a pretty good time.
City of Champions.
Yeah, let's do it.
City of Basketball Champions.
Yes. Congratulations, Don Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks. undefeated this season.
Somebody's going to tell me in my ear, did I just see, I've been focusing on the softball, was the rating for the championship game on ABC yesterday almost 19 million?
Yes.
19
Yes, it was.
million people watching the women's basketball. 18.7, I've been told.
Unbelievable.
Phenomenal. Congratulations to Carolina winning their third national championship at a packed house at Colonial Life Arena today for the welcome home. I'm sure the party will still be going on when we get there. If people are having a good time when we get there, it's not just because we've shown up and they're happy to have us. That's part of it too. It's that they're still celebrating the championship. That's coming up 6 o'clock on Friday. As we mentioned before, Arkansas took 2 out of 3 against Mizzou. So that's series win over Mizzou, number 11 in the country. Series win over Georgia before that. So Arkansas hitting their stride. Hunted foul.
Yeah, starting to play really well. That should be a good battle between those two teams. Elena Vaughter, the transfer from Stanford, pitching for South Carolina this year. Morgan Linestock pitching for Arkansas. And they've got a bunch of hitters top to bottom in that Arkansas lineup. Pretty sure that Rylan Hedgecock hit a home run that's still rolling in that parking lot out beyond left field this past weekend.
Linestock had 2 wins in the series against Mizzou, 3 runs allowed. Kistler, base hit to lead things off here in the home half of the 4th inning for the Gators. Second hit of the night, Erickson in the 3rd inning. Kistler now in the 4th inning.
Florida going to try to see if they can capitalize after this leadoff base hit by Kistler. Got a bit jammed up on it, but got enough of that pitch up and inside to drop it out into right field. And Raylan Chafin's been doing a nice job after being a bit of out of control with her pitches in that 1st inning, running up that pitch count to 37 in the 1st, but she's been settling down the past couple of innings.
Strike 1 to Ava Brown, who flied out to right her first time. Florida scored their run in the 1st thanks to 3 walks and a hit batter. It was a bases loaded walk to Kistler that brought in the run. Kistler aboard for a 2nd time. Have you noticed something specifically about Chafin getting things under control? Because you pointed out with all those walks, she was missing where her catcher was set up by a wide margin.
And
so she's got the command back a little bit.
That's still what I've been focusing on is Bajaran back behind the plate.
Sky high, foul ground, 3rd base side. McKee has it. Kistler tagged, and now hustles back to 1st, 1 away.
It's hard to get into the groove of a specific pitch sequence or a game plan against a batter when you're not able to consistently locate your pitches and hit the spots that you're supposed to be hitting. So that's what I've been watching the past couple of innings is how much Macy Bajaran is moving back behind the plate. And so far she's settled down. She's hitting her spots where they need to be. And you've seen some soft contact from the Gators. Every once in a while they'll get a hole in one, but even right there, that check swing, because she's been staying around the zone quite a bit more the past couple of innings than she did in the 1st, that's where you get some of those hesitant swings and misses on the pitches up in the zone.
Mia Williams flied out to right her first time. Down the count 0-1. Popped up on the infield. Gutierrez calls for it. 2 down.
Another prime example, a couple of quick outs after giving up the base hit to Katie Kistler.
Got a chat coming up with Beth Torino. After this half inning, number 9 hitter Brooke Bernard struck out in the 2nd. Bajaran calling for time.
Making sure everybody's on the same page with the electronic pitch calling communication that we've got this season.
Runs in on her. Fly ball, shallow left. Newland puts it away. So the leadoff single does not hurt Chafin, who is settled in. I know basketball season's months away. If Kim Mulkey doesn't have one of those shirts under one of the Mulkey jackets in a game this year, I'll be very disappointed. Somebody get that message to the Hall of Fame.
I think that's a look that we're definitely going to need to see. I did really enjoy watching the video of Coach Torina and her first reaction when she first saw the shirt. She saw the team walking in from across the field, and She was like, what shirts are we wearing? What shirts are those? I don't know what those are.
That wasn't on the itinerary that we're wearing these shirts to batting practice on Sunday. It's alumni weekend here in Florida, so someone who was a walk-on when this program first started, was an SEC champion as a pitcher, who had great success here working hard, and now has turned that into a successful run as a head coach. First at Florida International down the road, and now at LSU.
I tell you what, the superstitious side of me says they wore those yesterday, got the win.
Line drive, 2 lefts. Turning for 2, the throw's a good one. The tag is not in time. Runity with a leadoff double. We'll see if Florida wants to challenge it. I think they're looking for an indication from Mia Williams if she got the tag in there, and we'll take a look first.
Here's the bottom half of the order, producing again for LSU. The base on time. It's tough in that situation for a defender because you have to go out and reach for the throw and then come back across your body to apply the tag. And because she had to do that, that's what allowed Runity to slide in safely. A great play down the left field line by Corby Otis.
Softly hit to Wallace, a lot of English on it. She makes the play. Moving on to third is Runity. 1 down. Those have to be so tough sometimes to handle because you don't know where the spin is going to end right before it gets in your glove, which direction it's going to go in.
It could bounce in any direction. And when those are mishit off of the bat so much that you just have to charge it and try to get it on a short hop to minimize the amount of movement that ball can have as it's on its way to you.
Back up the middle, base hit. The bottom of the order delivers again for the Tigers. 1-1. McKee delivers the RBI single as Runity scores.
McKee is just one of those batters that doesn't try to do too much when she steps up to the plate. Yesterday with a huge sacrifice fly. This time, first pitch that she sees, she just sends a solid piece of hitting there for the 9-hole to be able to come through with a clutch RBI to tie up this ball game.
7 hits from the bottom 3 in the LSU lineup this series. The big one from McKee yesterday was a sacrifice fly to produce a run. This is a base hit that produces a run in the 5th. Top of the order, Newland, 2 for 2. Doubled in the first, singled in the 3rd.
An important at-bat, too, that I'm circling is Bajran. Even though she mishit it out to the infield, it was still a productive at-bat. It moved the runner 60 feet to allow her to score on that base hit by McKee. We talked about it earlier, how this LSU team just is a team that does not strike out a lot. They put the ball in play.
Throw back to first, and McKee back safely.
I was just going to say they put the pressure on the defense, but the defense trying to put a little bit of pressure back on the offense with that quick snap throw down to first base by Jocelyn Erickson. Taking advantage of the fact that she's left-handed, can get that throw down there in a hurry.
Swung on, hit deep to center field. This is back, and this is gone! Allie Newland, 2-run home run, 8th of the season, and
you could see with their swings in this inning, LSU just chipping away, trying to find a pitch that they can get solid barrel on. Allie Newland has been so good all season long. Look at how smooth that swing is through the zone. It's a rise ball up and away. A great way to use your backside to get that power into that swing. Drives it straight out to dead center. A 2-run shot puts LSU up in this 5th inning.
so pumped up, the elbow guard went flying. Allie is an all-out kind of player. At the plate, she says every at-bat she's trying to hit a home run. We've seen her in the field playing like someone that can get to every pop-up, fly ball, you name it. This is a short hop off the glove of Wallace. Briggs is aboard with 1 down here in the 5th.
You can see Skylar Wallace just saying, my bad. She tried to charge that one to get it on the short hop, and it just hit off of almost like her forearm.
Scored an error on Wallace, the third of the series for Florida.
The second hop right here, you could see her trying to hustle it, but with that speed, you got to do whatever you can to try to get that out. And now LSU with a ton of momentum here in the top of the fifth inning, all sparked by the bottom half of the order, and then Allie Newland coming in clutch with that 2-run home run.
First home run of the series for LSU. That's 31 now in the season for Tarina's team. And yes, crown her. Allie Newland's the queen right now for LSU.
Committed swings is something that this LSU team emphasizes too. Talked about that correlation between bat speed and swing decisions.
So you just saw the conversation in the circle for Florida. You just have the feeling Taylor Pleasance is due.
Well, she had a hard hit in her last at-bat, too, out to center field. Just a nice play made by Kendra Falby.
0 for 2 tonight, 1 for 9 in the series. 2-0. Three and 0. Four-pitch walk to Pleasance. 2 on with 1 down here in the fifth.
Last thing you want to do there is give up those free passes to extend this inning, especially in this part of the order. Got Raylene Gutierrez, who already did some damage in yesterday's ball game. Really efficient first inning for Keegan Rothrock, but then you've continued to see the pitch count rise inning after inning. Quick inning in the fourth, but here a long inning in the fifth.
Strike 1 to Gutierrez, who's 0 for 2, grounded to short in the first and again in the fourth. Gutierrez hit .285 a season ago. Always has been stellar with the glove at first, matching it at the plate this season. 3 RBI in this series, trying to deliver again here for the Tigers. Two and 1.
She's been seeing the ball well all season long, and even in this series yesterday, spraying the ball all across the field. One of those hitters that gets really committed to their game plan, likes to sell out for a particular pitch.
3 and 1.
This 3-1 count, 2 runners on base, 1 away. If I'm up at the plate, I am not swinging unless that pitch is piped straight down the middle.
Ball 4, back-to-back walks, and the bases are loaded for the Tigers here in the fifth.
Just get the feeling with the freshman out there in the circle, this game seems like it's speeding up on her in this inning. Not able to find the command with her pitches like we've seen from her in the previous couple of innings. Missing well outside of the strike zone, falling behind early, and it's all on her in the circle. Absolutely zero action in that bullpen.
Kelly Lynch walked in the second, fly to left in the fourth. That's with the bases loaded and 1 out here in the fifth. The 0-1. 1-1.
Middle infielders playing in, try to cut down that run at the plate.
Popped up foul and out of play.
You can see Coach Walton talking to his middle infielders, telling them to roll it up, try to pinch up the middle, turn a double play to get out of this inning.
Two and 2. Swung on and missed. Big strikeout for Rothrock. That is her first strikeout of the night. 2 down.
We were just talking about how LSU does not swing and miss very often.
Here's Carly Petty. Fly ball to center field. Falby under it. And LSU leaves the bases loaded, but they score 3 in the 5th.
The leadoff batter coming through in the clutch. It's Allie Newland drilling this one out to center field. LSU leads it 3-1. Talking so much infield defense. How about the outfield defense from Kendra Falby throughout this series, covering some of this series? And she's going to bring the velocity in the high 60s with that heavy drop ball down in the zone. Such great late bite on that pitch.
And she can play her position. First pitch by Falby back to the pitcher. Throws on to first and quickly 1 down here in the home half of the 5th.
Ground ball straight back to her. This drop ball up in the zone. But, Eric, it seems like every time a new defender comes into the ball game, the ball's going to find you within the first couple of plays, and that's what happened to the new pitcher coming into this ball game.
Ball 1 to Skylar Wallace. As for the former pitcher, Raylan Chafin, struggled in that first inning, battled after that, didn't give up a walk after the first inning, ends up giving just 1 run on 2 hits to the Gators. 1-1 to Wallace. Wallace walked in the first, fly deep to left in the third. And down the count now 1-2. What impressed you about Raylan Chafin and the way she battled tonight?
Just the battle, the way that she was able to come back after that first inning, through 37 pitches in that first inning alone, but then settled down, was able to command the zone, find the strike zone consistently.
Oh, great pitch by Berzon. Wallace swinging a miss, 2 down.
Pulls the string on that pitch, too. Everything was down in the zone. They were not going to mess with the upper part of the zone going up against Skylar Wallace. Drop ball, then that changeup to get a big strikeout of Wallace.
Berzon in the series entering this inning, 9 2/3, 11 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, and 12 strikeouts. She's added a strikeout to her total, and she's ahead in the count to Corby Otis. Otis was 0 for 2 against Chafin. 4 for 9 in the series. 1-1. Line drive center field, and drifting back is Briggs to grab it to retire the side. A 1-2-3 inning for the Gators in the 5th, 3-1 LSU. During our in-game conversation, she made a point to say how great this Florida program has been. She came here as a walk-on, and just what Tim Walton has built, 2 national champions. She had a lot of great things to say during our broadcast yesterday. Leadoff single for LSU to get things going by Rudity. So Rudity is 3 for 3 today. She leads off the 6th with a single. And here's Bajaran. Over 2 tonight. 0-2. Erickson tried to bring it back over, just missed for ball 1.
Close pitch, low and outside. Wonder if maybe that was called low in the zone. Coming out of her hand, I thought this one was going to be strike 3. Let's take another.
Fly ball, foul ground, and running out of room is Brown.
We even heard Coach Torina talking about it in the mid-game interview, just about both teams having to adjust to a bit of a tighter strike zone than what we've seen in the previous 2 games.
Hard ground ball to Walsh at third. The throw to Williams pulls her off the bag, and everybody's safe. Williams says to challenge it to the dugout, and Tim Walton will listen to his freshman second baseman. She thinks she held her foot on the bag. We'll take a peek.
The throw definitely beat the runner, but the throw's off.
I think that is a great job by Williams to let the dugout know right away. I had my foot on the base, and even though she couldn't see it, you can feel it. You can feel when the runner hits the base, your foot is still on there, so she felt confident about it and was rewarded.
That's a great play, too, by the freshman. Reagan Walsh had plenty of time, but I think she was trying to get rid of it in a hurry to possibly roll up a double play. And because that throw sailed a little bit more towards the first base side, a acrobatic move by Williams to get that out.
Like you pointed out before, so many left-handed bats in that lineup. Florida has to be thinking this has to happen quickly if we're going to turn two, and that was in Walsh's thought process, you can guess.
Try to get rid of it as quickly as possible, throwing it from that low arm angle over to second base.
Pitch runner for Bajaran, Savannah Bedell. Up high to McKee. Singled in a run and scored in the fifth. She's 1 for 2. (2-0) from Rothrock. 3-0. It's in there for a strike, 3-1.
And if you're Rothrock, you've got to keep pumping strikes in there, especially with Allie Newland sitting on deck. The last thing that you want to do is give up another free pass to turn the lineup over to the player that's already hit one out of the yard.
Center field, Falby drifts back. She's got it. 2 down. Before Newland steps in the box, I remind you that here is Newland. Doubled in the first, singled in the third, homered in the fifth. Mentioned at the top, her 8th straight game in the leadoff spot, and LSU is 6-1 since she took over that spot.
Going for the cycle in this game. She's got 2 career triples.
None this year.
And this year.
It's the tough one to get, but it is in play.
Looks like they're not bringing anything close to the zone with Newland. 101 pitches, 45 of those being balls.
There's a strike to Newland. It's 3-1.
Now 3-1. I'm going to be interested to see where Rothrock throws this pitch because Newland went yard on that rise ball up in the zone, and she's known for her rise ball. Does she try to keep it right at the knees?
Throws it off the plate for ball 4. Newland's aboard for a 4th time tonight and a 10th time in this series. I'll bring up Sierra Briggs. She's 0 for 3 tonight. Grounded out in the first, reached on a fielder's choice in the third, reached on an error in the fifth. Strike 1.
It's interesting to see how, especially the left side of the infield is set up with Sierra Briggs because she is that triple threat lefty. She can slap. I'm surprised that Skylar Wallace isn't playing more into that 5-6 hole and Reagan Walsh isn't playing further up the line in case Briggs were to drop down a bunt for a base hit here.
Great scoop by Erickson. The throw to second. Not in time.
Jocelyn Erickson is so good at those quick snap throws. Even when she's off balance back behind the plate, makes a great stop and fires a strike straight down there.
2-1.
so far the first 3 pitches of this at-bat. Briggs standing in to swing away, not trying to go for that slap that we typically see.
Slapped out to left field. Now get down for a base hit and get all the way to the wall. But Dell scores. Newland being waved around. The throw is cut off. It's a 2-run double for Sierra Briggs, and LSU's up by 4 in the 6th.
Another clutch piece of hitting by LSU in this ball game. A rise ball or another 2 runs for the Tigers.
Here is Pleasance. Eight hits tonight for LSU. 4 extra base hits, 3 doubles and the home run. That was Briggs' 5th hit of the series.
First extra base hit of the series for Sierra Briggs. Everything else has been singles so far through the first few games.
Line drive to second. Williams has it to retire the side, but
People like Allie Newland in this lineup. We've seen it really all series long. After that first game, the bottom half of the order for LSU bounced back, stepped up in yesterday's ball game, and they're continuing to do that again today. Newland has such a sweet swing coming from the left side, got that rise ball that she could handle and drilled it out of the ballpark.
Up high to Jocelyn Erickson, who's 1 for 2 tonight. Lined out to center in the first against Raylan Chafin. Florida had some hard contact against Chafin, who had early control trouble, but you look at the scoreboard, the Gators have mustered just 2 hits against LSU pitching so far tonight.
It looked like things could have easily spiraled out of control for LSU in that first inning because of all the walks and because of those command issues, but you're right, Raylan Chafin really settled down and started hitting her spots more consistently, and you could even tell by the way that Macy Bajaran was set up back behind the plate, and thought she did a great job through those middle 3 innings of this ball game and set the table for Sydney Berzon to come in throwing in a completely different direction than what Chafin did.
Just missed for ball 4, and Erickson is aboard to lead things off here in the 6th inning. When we're done here tonight in Gainesville, you'll see the SEC Equestrian Championship. Reagan Walsh with a ground ball foul. No play at second, foul ball. Strike 1 to Walsh.
Another hard hit ball off the bat of Reagan Walsh. Not fouled by much. Nice play by McKee down that third baseline.
Walsh through the hole into left field. 3rd hit of the night for the Gators. It comes here in the 6th inning. 2 on here for Florida as the crowd gets into it a bit.
Seems like that inner part of the zone is where LSU continues to work Reagan Walsh, but you're playing with fire a little bit on that side because she's got so much power. She can pull the ball in a hurry, and she did it again there, driving that one straight through the 5-6 hole.
I think we'll have a pinch runner for Reagan Walsh. Ariel Kowalewski will come on. For Walsh, her 4th hit of the series, stretching her hitting streak to 7 games. Katie Kistler shows bunt, pulls back, ball 1.
Kistler had a base hit off of Berzon in yesterday's ball game, but she's also had 3 strikeouts against Berzon in this series.
Line shot foul, 1-1. Kistler walked with the bases loaded in the first, singled in the 4th. The 1-1. 1-2.
That good-looking drop ball, 71 miles per hour out of the hand for Berzon there. Some good late movement down in the zone on that pitch. We've seen her throw both her changeup and the off-speed rise ball is what I like to call it. There it is again, 60 miles per hour. So she's going to vary her speeds quite a bit. Of course, that high-velocity drop ball, the rise ball is kind of in between, and then you've got the changeup that's coming in the mid-50s.
Grounded foul. When you were talking about Torina, about her pitcher, Sydney Berzon, the thing that jumped out was Berzon is like a chameleon. She can be what you need in that moment. She can change speeds with the same pitch. She can really work all sides of the plate and to be a different pitcher second time, third time through a lineup. Took something off that one, but didn't get the call. And you can see the catcher, Bajaran, wanted it as well.
And that's an example of the changeup. So it's going to move in a similar direction that the drop ball does. It's just about 10 miles per hour less. She throws this one.
Grounded to first. Foul ball, no play at second.
Seems like today's the game, Eric, of the balls that are very close down the line. LSU not taking any chances on these. They're making the plays either way.
Ball four, bases loaded with nobody out here for the Gators in the sixth.
High fives all around in that Florida dugout, and now a big spot for the freshman two-way player for the Gators. And feeling the moment, Coach Beth Torina is going to come out and have a conversation with her infield and her battery just to try to slow things down a little bit. Bases loaded, nobody away. Make some defensive decisions, too. Does she want to play the infield up to try to cut down a run, or do you go ahead and put your middles back, try to roll up a double play, and get a couple of quick outs?
All right, put your coaching hat on. What is your call right here?
I'm playing the infield back. I'm trying to get a double play here. They're so good at rolling up the double plays. They've already got 20 so far this season. You got a 4-run lead. Bottom of the sixth inning, I think I'm taking my chances, especially with a drop ball pitcher in the circle for LSU. Having my middles stay back and try to roll up a double play.
Part of the point of going out to the mound just to talk to the players, but also Beth Torina walked back with home plate umpire Robbie Guest. That pitch prior to the one that walked Kistler. Wanting to know where that one was. The bases are loaded.
And they're pulling the infield up.
So the infield is in here for LSU, trying to perhaps cut down a run at the plate. Bases loaded, nobody out here in the sixth.
And what could possibly happen is if they do get one out, then they might move the middles back if they were able to get the first out here.
Swing and a miss from Brown, foul tip, it's 1-1.
That's why we're up in the booth, Eric, and not down on the field making the coaching decisions, right? But two schools of thought on that. You could look at it as a 4-run lead, take your chances back, right?
Is it much more comfortable up here?
It's easier to make the decisions from up here, that's for sure.
You're sitting in an armchair, literally. Brown 0 for 2, flight out to right in the first. Popped foul to third in the fourth. The 1-2 pitch. Lays off, it's 2-2. Chop to second. The throw to the plate is dropped. Erickson is safe. Florida gets a run.
We were just discussing the defensive positioning. LSU got the ground ball that they wanted. Ground ball over to Carly Petty. She had plenty of time to make this throw to the plate. Jocelyn Erickson just a bit. Of course, you'd love to see that throw straight in the chest, but that's a throw that she needs to catch.
So Berzon gets the ground ball, but LSU can't cash in on it. Bases are loaded. A run is in. It's now a 3-run game, and Tim Walton is going to bring up a pinch hitter. Bailey Goddard will hit for Williams.
Well, now you have have to play the infield up. You've got to try to cut down that run. And you'd imagine that Berzon's going to continue to throw the drop balls down in the zone to try to get another one of those ground balls.
Avery Gels will run for Brown. Big spot here for Goddard, hitting for Williams. Ball one. Berzon appearing in her third game of this series. Appeared in all three games of the Texas A&M series last weekend. Swung out and missed. It's 1-1. 2-1.
Went back to the drop ball after getting the big swing and miss on that off-speed rise. Goddard has a lot of pull power to the left side, and she's pretty good at pitches low in the zone. So Berzon, if she's going to throw that drop ball, she's got to make sure that it's right at the knees.
5 of Goddard's 12 hits this season, home runs. She's in a great hitter's count at 3-1. How aggressive does she get with the bases loaded, though, and a 3-ball count? Big hack, it's 3-2.
Looked like she had timed up that rise ball, too. 61 miles per hour. Big swing and miss before. That's that level of anticipation. When you take a big hack at a pitch, you could pretty much guarantee you're probably going to see it later on in the at-bat. So try to flip the script on the pitchers. Go up there and look and hunt for that pitch.
3-2. Swung on and missed. Couldn't get the drop. Big strikeout for Berzon. One away.
This pitch just falls right.
Here's Brooke Bernard, who had a clutch pinch hit yesterday for Florida, getting the start here today. She's 0 for 2. Now LSU pushes back, looking for 2. Two and 0.
And Bernard does a really nice job with her swing of getting underneath pitches low in the zone. Likes to hunt for those drop balls. Hit that double the opposite way off of Berzon yesterday.
2-1. Chopped foul, and it's 2-2. Erickson started the inning with a walk. Walsh singled. Kistler walked. Bases were loaded for Brown. Play at the plate. Couldn't be handled by Bajaran. That brought in a run. Goddard struck out. Now Bernard with a 2-2. Grounded to third. The throw to the plate. Got the foot down just in time, did Bajaran, for the force play. 2 down.
Slow developing play on the infield there. I figured with the infield playing up that there was going to be no question if there was a ground ball hit to any of the infielders, the immediate thought was going to be to throw the ball home. Look at the hesitation here on home plate.
Line drive by Falby. That is to the wall. 1 run is scored. 2 runs are in. A 3rd run is in. Falby's got a triple. Florida has tied it in the 6th.
Slips a little bit out in center when she's trying to pick up that ball. But 3 runs coming across to score on that Falby triple.
3rd triple of the year for Kendra Falby. It's a 2-out triple that clears the bases.
First hit for Florida tonight with runners in scoring position. 1 for 7, and it could not have come at a better time for Florida.
That has been challenged by LSU in a calendar review.
All right, so here we go. We have a challenge by Beth Torina. Beth Torina, the announcement was made that the runner from first left, but Torina's coming out saying that she wants something else reviewed, perhaps a different base runner that someone from the dugout saw. But first, there's going to be a conversation with our umpiring crew.
And this is what you're seeing in the game of softball this year. When there's a big play or the offense gets a big hit with runners on board, you're seeing people challenge whether or not the runner left early.
It was involving the runner at first base. But the challenge is that the runner at first base missed second. That is what's under review.
Okay, so clarification. They're going to look and see if the runner at first touched second. So it's not a leaving early challenge. It's a touching the base challenge, which you would think, Maddie, may come from one of the fielders if they were watching it, but a tough one to see from the dugout. Maybe somebody had eyes on it.
I'd imagine from the dugout that's going to be hard to see depending on how close the foot was to the base. But whoever was over there covering second, maybe they got a look.
All right, we'll try to take a look
at
here.
Bernard rounding second base. Let's take another look here.
The call on the field is that's the base, because I think when you first saw the umpires come together, Marty Abazizian, who's the first base umpire, you saw him make the safe sign. Like, he had eyes on that she touched the base. And so safe on the field, or she touched the base on the field, and you need to have conclusive evidence from Birmingham to say she missed that base. Here's the call.
After further review, the runner did touch second base.
And from the views we saw, that's the right call. Didn't see anything to overturn or change that call.
So Falby comes through. Inning's not over yet because Falby is at third, and here is Skylar Wallace trying to put Florida in front against Berzon. Ball one. Normally you would say with first base open, will you give Skylar Wallace anything close to hit, but with how Corby Otis is seeing the ball right now, that's not an appealing option for LSU standing in the on-deck circle.
And you're going to look at her line and say she's 0 for 3. Of course, you go ahead and walk Skylar Wallace, but she has made loud outs in each one of her at-bats.
There's a strike to Wallace. It's 2-1.
And it's been a tough weekend for Skylar Wallace up at the plate, too. She struck out on a changeup in her last at-bat against Berzon. Walked in the first. Hit a fly ball to left in the third.
Deep to left, back in the third. That's in the dirt, blocked by the catcher. Falby blazing speed at third base, so anything that gets away from the catcher a little bit farther than that is in play for Falby to score.
And she's always looking to take that extra base. She's going to take advantage of anything that you're going to give her on the base paths.
3-1 to Skylar Wallace. Good pitch from Berzon. Wallace swinging a miss, and it's 3-2.
Almost was able to manipulate that off-speed rise that she's got, turn it more into an off-speed screwball, tailing away from Skylar Wallace on that swing. Berzon does like to work quick out there in the circle. I don't even think she needs the action clock.
3-2. Ground ball to second. Grabbed by Petty on the first to retire the side. But Florida comes back with 4 in the 6th to tie it. On to the 7th we go. Kendra Falby came with the bases loaded and 2 down in the 6th, tie the game up at 5. Ava Brown now into the circle in relief of Keegan Rothrock.
And she's going to be more of your pitch to contact type of pitcher. Throws it in the mid-60s, and she's got a combination of a screwball, a curveball that she's going to throw. Works to all zones, does have a changeup that she's going to throw to try to keep these LSU batters honest. But her key is to try to nail that strike zone, find the zone early, and get LSU to put the ball in play.
So Rothrock battles through 6 innings, gave up those 8 hits and 5 runs, walked 4. But the freshman will get a no decision here today and gives way to her classmate, the freshman Brown. We showed you Falby's plays in the field during this series and delivering at the plates. Thumbs up to the fans, giving her a little love beyond the fence there in center field.
You know, and we joked about it, too. When she's on the base path, she's always looking to take advantage of anything that you're going to give her. But I think back to that inning and the crucial error that was made by the LSU defense that even allowed Kendra Falby to come up in that inning. Those are those pieces of timely hitting that come into play, not just in big series like this, but, of course, moving down the stretch of the regular season on into the postseason. When you have an opportunity like that, when you have the bases loaded, so big to be able to come through in those spots.
Gutierrez, Lynch, and Petty to face Brown here in the top half of the 7th inning. So with Brown moving from first to the circle, Avery Gels, the new first baseman. Ariel Kowalewski now playing third. 2-0 to Gutierrez. Brown pitched yesterday, went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, getting the start. Two and one. Gutierrez fouls it off. It's now 2-2. 0 for 2 tonight with the walk. 3 for 9 in the series with 3 runs batted in. Grounded to second. Williams throws it away. Gutierrez thought about second base, but Erickson backing up the play as it came off the netting, guarding the LSU dugout, keeps Gutierrez at first. So the leadoff is aboard for LSU here in the 7th.
Well, we saw a crucial error being made. Rushed the throw. She just yanked it past Avery Gels, and that allows the leadoff runner to get aboard for LSU in the top of the 7th.
Maya Townsend will run for Gutierrez. Second error of the game for the Gators. 4th of the series for a team that came into the weekend with the fewest errors in the SEC. Throw back to first off the glove of Gels, but by the time Townsend turned around, it was too late because Kistler had it.
Another quick snap throw. You've got to be on your toes when you're on the bases with Jocelyn Erickson back behind the dish, especially at first base, because it's a quick transfer for her being left-handed to throw that ball down to first.
Lynch to bunt. Lays it down. It's a good one. Kowalewski to first. The sacrifice successful. 1 down.
Textbook sacrifice bunt by Kelly Lynch. Not easy to bunt that pitch either. It was a little bit up in the zone. Actually had to move her upper body almost out of the way to make sure it got down in fair territory. But either way, moves that runner over into scoring position.
Here's Carly Petty, who is 0 for 3 against Rothrock. Ball 1. Getting to the bottom part of that LSU lineup, which has been a plus here for the Tigers in the last couple of games.
And Florida does not want to face batters like Mackenzie Rudity with people on board because she's 3 for 3 so far tonight.
You asked Beth Torina about it earlier in this game. It's about the depth of this lineup, this team. There's a strike. It's 3-1.
Might be one of the few pitches that we've seen called in the top part of the zone today.
This is for ball 4, 2 on with 1 down here in the 7th. And here is Rudity. Reached on an infield single in the 2nd, doubled and scored in the 5th, singled in the 6th. 4 for 8 in the series with 3 runs scored. Slow roller too short. Wallace gets the force at third. Heads up play by the Florida shortstop, 2 down.
Smart move by Skylar Wallace to go ahead and flip that ball over to third base. That entire play is developing in front of her. She can see.
Here's Bajaran. Grounded into a double play in the 2nd. Grounded to short in the 5th. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 6th. Hammered foul.
Bajaran with a couple of hits off of Ava Brown in yesterday's ball game. Had a double and a single. And by that swing there, seems like she's seeing the ball pretty well out of Brown's hand.
2-1. Bajaran yesterday was 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and an RBI. And the game started by Brown. 2-1. That one is foul, and it's 2-2.
Brown going with the off speed there. Bajaran very aggressive, pulling the ball down that left field line. Works her way back even in the count by throwing a 53-mile-per-hour changeup that Bajaran's way out in front on.
Full count with 2 down. So the runners will be off with the pitch here. In the 7th, in a 5-5 game. The payoff pitch. In there for strike 3. Ava Brown, the freshman, comes through in a big spot for the Gators. And we're headed to the bottom of the 7th in a 5 season.
Ton of pressure on Berzon, of course, with the situation. Tie ball game, bottom of the 7th inning. But more so because Corby Otis is the batter that's up at the plate. She has been roping the ball all over the field today.
Tried to check the swing, could not. It's 1-1. Otis lined to short in the 1st, grounded out in the 3rd, flied out to center in the 5th. She's 0 for 3 tonight, but 4 for 10 in the series with a couple of RBI. She has a 16-game on-base streak on the line. Good spot for her to try to extend that here in the bottom of the 7th.
She's hit drop balls, change-ups, rise balls.
This is chop to second, moving to her right. Petty to throw to first in time. 1 down here in the 7th. Baseball on Friday here on the SEC Network. Ole Miss hosting Mississippi State in game 1 of a 3-game series in Oxford. Our cover's got the energy up, the rally cap set. Trying to get over the finish line here and win this series. Gators took a tight game in game 1 here on Saturday. LSU answered back in 8 innings in game 2 on Sunday. Series on the line here in the 7th on a Monday. Base hit right field. Jocelyn Erickson aboard with 1 down.
Erickson's second base hit tonight. And after watching the off-speed rise go by, she goes after this drop ball. Gets barrel underneath it enough, still hit something going for the Gators.
And stepping to the plate is the hero from game 1, Reagan Walsh. Walsh had the 3-run home run in the 6th inning against LSU in game 1 of the series.
And it was against Sydney Berzon, who's in the circle right now, too. I'd imagine that she's going to see nothing but a steady dose of those drop balls low and inside, maybe an occasional off-speed rise, but she drilled that changeup out of the park.
Up in the zone, fouled off by Walsh. It's 1-1.
First 2 pitches, we've seen drop ball low and inside, and the off-speed rise up. When she's able to get her hands extended, that's when she gets a ton of pop behind that bat.
Walsh leading Florida with 13 home runs on the season. As a team, the Gators with 60. That's second to Georgia in the SEC. 2-1.
Drop ball way low and inside. I'm pretty sure that that ball ended up behind her in that right-handed batter's box.
The 2-2. Another one that drops down and in, but Walsh just got a piece to stay alive.
She's not afraid to battle in these at-bats, too. Talk about that home run she hit in game 1. It was a 9-pitch at-bat between her and Berzon, fouling off a lot of those drop balls.
Another 2-2 to Walsh. Goes upstairs, gets the strikeout, 2 down.
This pitch not anywhere close to the strike zone. Tim Walton knows just how big of a strikeout that was. Goes for the...
Ball 1 to Katie Kistler with 2 down. Berzon working for the 3rd consecutive day. Pitch number 60. Kistler, fly ball to center field. Briggs is in on it. Let's play extras for the 2nd game in a row. Mostly good. Mostly good. Strike 1 to Maddox McKee to start things out here for Ava Brown in the 8th. Maddox 1 for 3, flied to center twice, singled and scored, and brought in a run in the 5th. 1-1. Two and one. Soft liner to Gels, 1 away.
Couple of off speeds in that at bat from Ava Brown. Got McKee to get way out in front on that swing, hit it off the end of the bat. Now you got to face Allie Newland, who's had a great night so far. 3 for 3, home run, double, single. Just one extra base hit missing to complete the cycle for her tonight.
Well, she's got her 2nd chance to complete the cycle, looking for a triple. We've seen a triple in this game. It came from Kendra Falby for Florida to tie the game up in the 6th. Newland goes to center field, to Falby, 2 down.
Another good swing, just happened to go straight to the center fielder. Maybe a little bit off the end of the bat, just slightly out in front. Couple of quick outs, though, for Florida and Ava Brown.
There's Ciara Briggs, who's 1 for 4. RBI double her last time.
Couple of runners on board. Seems like she's going back to the slap here. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe she stands in there and tries to swing away because she had so much success with it in her previous at-bat.
Foul ball.
Now with 2 strikes, she's probably going to stick with the slap. But always a challenge defensively, trying to figure out how you want to line up. in the infield. Do you want to play up for the slap? Do you want to play back just in case she swings away? Now with 2 strikes, you can breathe a little easier and take a few steps further back in the infield.
LSU 3-0 in extra inning games this season. Florida 0-2. Briggs to Brown. Brown holds on to it. Briggs with the great speed down the line, and as Madison pointed out, 7 left-handed hitters in this LSU lineup. They get down the line in a hurry, so she's aboard with an infield single with 2 down.
You've got to field it perfectly, and you've got to get rid of it so quickly to get these runners out. And Sierra Briggs almost mishit that one enough to where it allowed her to reach for the infield base hit. And Ava Brown's a very athletic pitcher, too. She can make some great plays out there.
That infield hit for Briggs gives Taylor Pleasance a chance here in the 8th to put LSU in front. 0 for 3 with a walk, 1 for 10 with a couple of walks in the series. Pleasance lifts a fly ball to left. Playable for Otis, and that will retire the side to the bottom of the 8th. But tonight we're tied at 5. Ava Brown ready to step in. Brown sends it foul. 0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 9 in the series. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 6th. Gales ran for her and scored on the error. In that 4-run 6th inning for the Gators that tied it at 5. One on one. Brown's got some pop. 8 home runs on the season. Down to the count, 1-2.
Threw 2 off-speed pitches to start off this at-bat. Then went with the drop ball. Way out in front on a couple of those swings, and then coming around and on top of that drop. When you're early in the count, before you get to 2 strikes, you've got to make a decision as far as which pitch you want to go after.
2-2.
There's such a drastic change in speeds and change in direction in which those pitches are coming through the zone. Do you want to try to get on top of that rise, sit back in your timing a little bit? Or do you want to try to get underneath that drop ball?
Hammer to third. McKee with it over to first, 1 away.
Better swing adjustment on that one. She just got a little bit too far on top, and a nice defensive play by Maddox McKee over at third base. Had to show the vertical jump, getting up in the air on this one. Hit hard down into the ground, jumps up.
Oh, 2. This is the 4th inning of work for Berzon. Came on in the 5th. Pitched 9 2/3 in the first 2 games of the series. So she's worked a bunch. Called strike 3. Williams retired at 2 down.
Williams struck out swinging on a drop ball in her last at-bat against Berzon, so Berzon goes right back to the drop ball on the outside part of the plate. Just barely to get her looking for strike 3. Berzon throwing in the last 4 innings, has a strikeout in each one of those innings.
Ball 1 to Brooke Bernard. Bernard 0 for 3 with a run scored. 1-1. Two and one. Line drive, right field, slicing, foul. Good effort by Rudity to try to catch it.
We talked about it in her previous at-bat. Bernard does a really good job on pitches low in the zone. And you think you try to throw it on the outside part of the plate because of the way that she steps open in her stride, but she's still able to reach pitches outside. Does a nice job of dropping that barrel almost behind her to get underneath those pitches low in the zone.
2-2 skipped up for ball three. Three-two. Out of play.
You can tell by the foul balls that Florida's hitting down the left field line for the righties that they're just not able to pick up those off speeds because of how far out in front they are. Really haven't seen anybody square up an off-speed pitch from Berzon yet.
Pitch number 8 to Brooke Bernard. Gets away, she's aboard with 2 down. Pitch gets away from Bajaran and scoops it up with Bernard at first. So the winning run is aboard here with 2 down for Florida.
And more importantly, that turns the lineup over. So now you've got to deal with the top half of this Florida Gators offense. And Kendra Falby, who had that triple back in the 6th inning, having to deal with her again now in extra innings.
Falby 1 for 3 with a run scored and that 3-run triple. Strike one. Falby began play today 3rd in the conference in hitting at .427. Line drive, base hit. Bernard the second on her way to 3rd, being waved around, now held at 3rd base. Falby with a double. Winning run 60 feet away.
She hit that triple, swinging away back in the 6th, so she goes back to swinging away here.
Walton's eyes locked. If there was any hesitation, any bobble in the field by LSU, he was going to send Bernard.
And that's what he's looking for, any misplay. He wants to keep the momentum of the runner going for as long as possible and then hold them up right at the last minute. But you could see his eyes were on that defense the entire time.
So Beth Torina goes out to talk to Berzon. First base is open. Skylar Wallace is at the plate. As part of this conversation, do you want to attack Skylar Wallace, or do we want to load the bases and take our chances in making sure you're going to throw strikes to who's behind her in the lineup, a good hitter in Otis?
Well, I think some of this conversation is personal preference for Sydney Berzon, too. Would you rather face a lefty, or would you rather face a righty in Corby Otis coming up to the plate? And we've talked about it all game long. Corby Otis has been smoking the ball all over the field, but does she want to deal with Skylar Wallace, reigning SEC Player of the Year? Or would she rather put her on? But with the way that Skylar's been swinging it this weekend, it's hard for me to say this, but I'm leaning towards pitching to Skylar in this at-bat.
From that first pitch, it looks that way. Strike one to Wallace.
606 batting average with runners in scoring position this year.
Has thrived in moments like this. Berzon's 0-1. Wallace trying to end it. It's 0-2.
That's why it's hard to answer that question, too, because the numbers are all telling you not to pitch to her. But my gut in this situation is saying go ahead and challenge her here.
Got a piece. Thrown away. The umpire said no foul tip. I thought I heard something. They said it was in the dirt because first base was unoccupied. She could go to first. The throw went into the outfield. Florida wins. No protest from LSU on a potential foul tip. It was in the dirt. Strike 3. Trying to make the throw to first. It gets away, and that's how the game ends.
Of all the ways to drop the ending to this ball game, I did not have drop third strike on my bingo card. They had her too. This throw just sails from Bajaran as she throws it over to Gutierrez at first base. Had plenty of time to make the throw, just too high. And the winning run coming across for Florida. A tough break for LSU, a tough fought game between these two teams. And for it to end that way does not feel good for Sydney Berzon and the LSU Tigers.
Berzon challenges Wallace, gets the strikeout, but Florida wins the game.
It's a game of inches. It's the little things that ultimately add up to big results. And right there, a prime example of that.
The first 2 batters were retired by Berzon. Bernard, the number 9 hitter, works away.